Greetings, hello, Oakland 1050 Awesomes. How's everybody doing? Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed watching the videos last week about logical fallacies. We're going to add to that this week, talking about argument types. And then starting by Wednesday, we're going to start putting it all together. So between now and Wednesday, I encourage you to review maybe some of the logical fallacies videos. Is there a particular logical fallacy video maybe that stood out to you? I'm going to play one, or at least a couple of sections of one, Wednesday or Thursday this week, and we're going to start starting to understand and see how these are used, right, and how we can use them in our rhetorical analyses paper. For this week, obviously we're adding argument types to our repertoire of these individual components, as our Project 1 rhetorical analysis talks about, and as we've talked about. There are these components of a rhetorical analysis essay. There is components of just analysis in general, all right? And analysis is a kind of a breakdown of something into its individual components or individual parts, or what are all the things that are making up this thing. And instead of our things being physical items necessarily, right? They are going to be these concepts and ideas. So we're going to look for logical fallacies. Now we're going to look at the argument type. And then next week we'll start looking at ethos, pathos, logos again, right? And I'm talking about how we're going to put all these things together to create our Project 1 rhetorical analysis. All right, so this week, I'm going to be focusing on argument types. I'd like you to review the logical fallacies from last week. Like I said, if there's one particular video that stood out to you that really helped you understand logical fallacies, let's look at that. And then we want to, by the end of the week, if you have it by Wednesday, would even be better. If we can try to, by Wednesday, have your article, be familiar with fallacies and argument types, because on Wednesday, we're going to start talking about how do we find them in an article. I'll go over that with you Wednesday or Thursday, okay? So, and then we got our two readings. One of them's right here is a sample rhetorical analysis in our textbook, chapter 20. And then there's another sample rhetorical analysis essay that I have posted on Moodle here, right, in the week 4 module. So while that's loading back up, I've already pulled up the types of arguments file, if this will ever load. Okay, I'm having some issues here today. Okay. But when we talk about argument types, so definition is going to be one of those that people argue about their interpretation, or sometimes there's a misinterpretation of a particular term. There are what's called causal arguments. Something does or does not happen, and it's what's causing, right? So this is sometimes these are called cause and effect type arguments. All right, and we'll go into a little bit more detail of these, but just in general. And there's also proposal arguments. Proposing that you should or should not do something, right? So the article that you find is going to have some form of an argument, so making some sort of a claim, okay? Sometimes you might not realize it might be subtle, but they'll be there. So there might be an evaluation. This is this thing, or this is not this thing, because it doesn't meet a particular set of criteria, right? And it goes into kind of the types of criteria and gives us some examples. And then a rebuttal argument. So we're going to, especially depending on your topic, right? Some of these, right? If you talk about COVID and we talk about mask wearing, there's going to be all sorts of rebuttal arguments. And of course, there's obviously going to be a lot of causal. If we don't do this, then this is going to happen, right? It's going to spread, et cetera, et cetera. So there are all these types of arguments, and you'll find them. And so here is a student sample of one that goes through finding. And we'll read this as you get an opportunity. It's a good background introduction. Talks about the what kind of argument it is, and finds different things in there. We'll go over that in a little bit more specific detail, but just wanted to kind of show you everything's right there for you for this week. I'll be back out on Wednesday with specific videos talking about the different types of arguments. Bring in some examples myself to show you how we're gonna start then finding an argument in our articles. All right, guys, my time's about up. Have a great start.